how to soothe ourselves without using comfort foods. This is a topic that's near and dear to my heart, my body, my soul. The food body spirit connection is one of those that, I was saying to somebody yesterday, in my human design. Human design is a way of looking at your birth chart. And I was at a retreat at one time with Karen Curry Parker and Michelle Vandepass. And Karen looked at someone's chart, at this woman's chart, and she said, "Oh, and your life purpose is," and she went just rattled it off in like a sentence and a half. And I said, "Wow, can you like give me my life purpose that simply?" And so she took a look at my chart and she said, "No, it's just not that simple." But so the whole thing about the food body spirit connection, food body spirit, earth, environment, spirituality, connection with source, all of that is included in my chart, and it is completely connected, but it's complex because when it comes to our relationship with food and our need to self-soothe, right? We're here to walk a path that takes us into a perception of being separate from that which birthed us, right? That being life force, love, compassion, that container, that safe container that holds us in complete love and acceptance and has got us, right? Has got us all the time. We feel ourselves as separate from that, and we experience this world of turmoil, and it just fires off all of our nervous system reactions and our experiences of trauma, that little t traumas and big T traumas that really can make us feel unsafe, ungrounded, and very disconnected in a lot of ways. And so we've got all of that going on. At the same time, when you are in the womb, you are in that safe container. And there is a beautiful teaching in the Sufi teachings that the name of the womb it comes from the same root as the name for the eternal compassion that is the container of our entire existence, our entire 3D material universe realm. And so we come from, regardless of what your relationship with your mother was or your experience in the womb, you were held in that container of that vibration, that existential, eternal compassion. And you were connected to your sustenance, and you were nurtured there, and you were connected to sustenance and provision through your umbilical cord, right? You had that direct nourishment coming into your body. You didn't have to do anything to get it. And when you were born, you left that container and that umbilical cord was cut. Now you are in the care of someone else's arms. You do have to have an active participation in the ingestion of food. And that is completely coupled with that sense of provision, of safety, of nurturing, of our dependent nature on this earth, and becoming now from a spiritual being that has been like integrating into this physical form. You're now this physical form that's carrying this spiritual being into the earth plane, because now you're a part of the earth's ecosystem, right? We can't call ourselves on the earth. We are in the earth, right? That's what Muhyiddin Ibn Arabi says, where you're not on the earth, you're in the earth. You're a part of the earth's ecosystem, right? We ingest foods from the earth and we eliminate our waste into the earth atmosphere, the earth environment. We breathe the air, we drink the water. We are a part of the earth ecosystem, and we can't exist in form outside of it. So, it's this whole dynamic is going on physically there, right? And there are foods on the earth that are designed to sustain us. But then what do we do as human beings? Because we have this whole journey that is about separating ourselves from earth, from nature, from spirit, and trying to walk this path and somehow be autonomous, individuated, and somehow prove to ourselves that we are more than or better than or different than, right? It's part of our path. It's part of the human journey that we walk on. And in doing so, look what we've done to the food system. We have taken the beauty of the earth and totally industrialized it and refined it and manipulated it to be different from what our bodies were designed to ingest and to absorb nutrients and nourishment from. So we've disconnected from the earth, and we feel ungrounded and and uneasy and unsafe. We put foods into our bodies that do things in our system that our system tries to compensate for to keep us alive, but it's really just designed to eat the foods from the earth, and apples from the tree, and from, the plants from the ground. And and so then we get like this whole the foods these days are engineered. They're engineered to stimulate the brain's pleasure centers and cause us that, like, okay, we're feeling this sense of uneasiness, this traumatic, this disconnection from traumatic experiences. And then we eat foods that stimulate our pleasure centers in our brain. You get the sugar, fat, salt combination that's firing off all of this stuff in the brain. So the brain has that sense of pleasure and that euphoria, right? And then food becomes a drug. And we're not nourishing our bodies. We're stimulating our responses to drugs. So food can be all of these things. There's a physical component, the emotional component, the spiritual component, and it's really hard to know where one begins and another ends. So we end up in this cycle of getting stressed out by a life that's disconnected from our spirits and the earth, and then trying to use foods to comfort and nourish and sustain ourselves. But we end up with foods that are triggering off all of our pleasure centers. So it's then more like a drug. And we get in this cycle of trying to keep up with constantly stimulating, re-stimulating ourselves to bring us either comfort or disconnection from our pain, which really it becomes at times more of a disconnection from pain than a comfort for the heart and soul, right? And so today I want to talk about ways that we can self-soothe, right? That we can soothe the heart and the soul with what it really needs rather than reacting to a stress response and triggering the chemicals that put us into that euphoric drugging ourselves with what I'm calling stimulants, but in the form of processed foods and high fat foods and high salt foods and things like that. So, all right, with that said, let's come into our meditation and healing circle. Let's come into our circle, sitting side by side,